Hello there! You may call me Miss Introvert, and here on this channel we write, we edit, we learn, and we grow. And I'm growing right along with you guys, so we're all in the same boat. Today we're making a video on how to write a character arc for your main character. Speaking of characters and books and stories, my fantasy novel, Down with Dragontown, is coming out soon. It is the first half of my debut novel, Before I'd Fire, A Sorcerer Falls, as I've decided to split it in half. The original is really long, so if you like long fantasy books, it is and still will be available on Amazon for paperback and Kindle, but if you like your shorter books, and I know that I know my limits too, you can feel free to wait for the release of the first book. I'm basically redoing the series all over again because I'm an indie author, which means no one knows who I am and I can kind of do whatever I want. Now let's get started. Number 1, character birth. I know what you're thinking. No, you don't necessarily need to go all the way back to the moment your character came into the world and then track that up to the present day. That's not necessarily how you need to fully understand them, but you can go that way if you want. What you really need to know, though, is what your character was born to do, or at least what they believe they were born to do. In other words, what does your character want? This is the first question to answer, and the most important question to answer when planning your character. Maybe you already have a good idea about what they look like and who they are because of an OC that you made a while ago and now you want to put them into a story. Maybe you already know what this character wants and you just need to give them a personality. I have other videos on character development and a whole other video that I just made about developing your character voice, but for now we're going to focus on character arc. And if you don't know what they want yet, give them a want. Now it may be that your character is supposed to not know what they want at the very beginning of the book, or maybe for the majority of the book. Maybe they have to discover it. Maybe it's one of those kinds of existential books, you know? But this is fiction we're dealing with, so we have to give them some kind of want, some kind of reason at least, to go on whatever journey or whatever arc they have to go on, because the reader needs a reason to follow them. Or maybe you've written them to discover their want along the way because you don't know what they want. Don't worry, we've all been there. I've been there. I'm currently there with several new projects that I'm working on. But if you want your character to have an arc, they need to want something first. And if your story has their character growing into wanting something, this is a great reason to create a character arc in the first place. Because a character arc answers the question, what is my character's mindset about what they want? Again, what is the character's mindset? But to get to that mindset, you need motivation. I think of it as an equation based on the books that I've personally read. Motivation plus mindset equals arc. Find out what your character wants and you'll be well on your way. Number 2, assessing the timeline. Think about the chronological events of your story. It's okay if you don't have them all lined up yet, but when is the best possible moment to start your story and introduce your character? Once you know when to introduce your character, you can ask yourself once again about their mindset. Again, you know their motivation, so it's time to plan out that mindset. And sometimes this mindset can be hard to narrow down because if we know what they want, we're so focused on all of the exterior events of what's making their mindset. But the mindset is not what's happening around the character. It's what's happening inside the character. There are outer conflicts and there are inner conflicts. I'm going to use a very popular example here. If you haven't seen Star Wars: A New Hope yet, we need to get you on that track. Even if you haven't seen it yet, you've heard of the hero's journey trope. And you can use all sorts of different tropes, but it's just easy to see which ones are the inner conflict and the outer conflict. So Luke Skywalker's outer conflict is to defeat the Empire. By the time he knows what he wants, he kind of has a vague idea at the beginning of the movie, but he realizes that this is what he wants after his Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru die and Ben Kenobi takes him on his adventure. And then his inner conflict is learning about what happened to his father and coming to terms with his life changing as a rebel fighter in the midst of a galactic war. Now, keep in mind that the most crucial turning points in a story are at the beginning, the inciting incident, the middle, and the end. You can pop in different turning points around those areas, but these are where we should see the most character growth and the most character change and the most reactions. Let's look at Luke again. He starts out with the inner conflict of wanting to learn more about his father, so he goes to his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. They give him the same story over again, and Luke isn't going to find any more answers at home, which is a driving motivation. Not only does he want to join his friends and his peers who have gone off to defeat the Empire, but he also wants to know where he really comes from. Once we've reached his inciting incident, his his adoptive parents are unalive, giving him the choice to stay on Tatooine or go with Ben Kenobi on an epic adventure to find out who he really is, and to help the rebellion in outer conflict. Luke chooses the latter because he's curious. He's also mournful that his only known family is gone, but he's ready to leave that life behind. He's determined, he's motivated, and all of these aspects are really good personality traits for your character to have. It's okay though to have like a shy, timid character who doesn't really know what they want, because readers are gonna relate to that. They're gonna relate to someone maybe who does know what they want, but they're a little scared about trying to go and chase it. But then there's characters that make it easy for you, like Luke, who are like, okay, let's go to the next thing because I need to know what's gonna happen to my life. Back on track, in the middle, Luke meets Princess Leia and saves her. He's gotten along somewhat with Han and Chewbacca, but he's lost his master Ben Kenobi, who was defeated by Darth Vader. So while he's succeeded in his mission, he's also lost another person. Now he's motivated to keep helping the Rebel Alliance and avenge his master. In the end, he's blown up the Death Star, which brings full circle his need to help fight the Empire with the rebellion, outer conflict. He's also heard the voice of Ben Kenobi in his head, telling him to use the Force. He knows he has a connection to the Force like his father did. Now he's able to use it, launching him on his journey to movie 2. Your story might be a standalone, it might go into a sequel, but it has to have an arc in each singular book. Not the exact same arc as Star Wars, but your character needs to start at some mental state and then go through a journey to change that mental state or have a reaction to the world around them, as well as an outer journey to their goal. Readers love watching the protagonists change over the course of the story. So when it's time to think about the end of your book, you need to ask yourself, how is my main character going to achieve their goal? And also, how are they going to change as a result of it? Number 3, some strategy. Not sure how you want your character to change in your story? That's okay. Some characters remain stagnant. Sometimes the events of the plot are more exciting than what's going on with the character. Some stories have the author going through an inner journey with the main character to discover their inner conflict and solve it. Many seasoned writers know, though, that you have to have an ending planned out, even if half the fun is coming up with the ending while you're writing. If you see yourself as a planner who wants their outline planned at every turning point, beat, subplot, consider the obstacles in your character's way. Consider the story's theme, if you have one. Every book needs a theme, but you might discover this along the way, and you never want to force a theme, so give the theme time. Consider the characters your protagonist is interacting with, their friends, their enemies, those who have passed on, their inner demons, those who are coming around in the future. This could be a time travel book. How are all of these factors and your character's reactions to these factors going to affect them in the long run? As you go through your story beats, note your character's actions and reactions, and assess each scene on how the story has changed and also how the character's mindset has changed. What makes scene 2 necessary? Why is scene 1 a scene? And what makes scene 2 necessary to come after scene 1? Is the character still the same after a cataclysmic event? Are they used to that kind of event, or is this completely new? Are they safe from a disaster for now? Are they no longer on friendly terms with someone? How will this affect them in the long run, leading all the way to the story's end? If you want to narrow it down, just ask yourself, how is my character going to react after the fact? This is very crucial for the climax point of your story. That's like the biggest change your character is going to go through, if they change at all. Usually the climax affects the plot more than the character, but it's still good to keep in mind. If you're a pantser or someone who likes to write without the confines of an outline or even a storyline, and you have a novel-sized picture that you need to get out of your head, write the book, of course, but after you've written the scene, ask yourself those same questions and reread what you've written. Rereading what you've written is also good for the planner too. If you're not sure how your character is going to change, have somebody else read the scene for you. Get some different perspectives on how this character might be affected. Maybe even ask a person who's been in similar circumstances to the character. It's hard when you're writing fantasy or sci-fi, but in terms of the character's personality, just ask someone who you know that's got similar personality traits. How would you react to this situation? It can be a fun conversational game if you think about it. We may be writing fictitious events, but we're also writing real human emotions. That's what draws human readers into your story. They may relate or feel inspired or feel catharsis from a character change. So once you move into your editing stage, have your reader in mind all the time. as you're going through your character changes. And that is just a little bit about writing character arcs. This is just my experience, so you can take it or leave it, but I found a lot of help using these methods that some of my peers and fellow authors and mentors have used, and it's helped me a lot. Hope this was helpful for you too. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and comment down below what some of your favorite character arcs are from your favorite stories. Thanks for watching, and stay basic. Okay, bye!